Hello, my atheist and theist friends. This is Kwaita. Today I'm going to be addressing what to expect when you become an atheist. Both myself and my mother were long-term, deeply religious people. Our deconversion did a number on us for a few months. I noticed the deconversion process had 4 out of 5 of the same stages as the process of grief. The first stage of grief is denial. When I started to become an atheist, the world became meaningless and overwhelming. Life made no sense. I was in a state of shock and denial. I went numb. I wondered how I could go on, if I could go on, why I should go on. I tried to find a way to simply get through each day. The second stage of grief is anger. This one was definitely the hardest hitting of all the stages of my deconversion. I was so fucking pissed. I was mad at the religious leaders for lying to me. I was mad at my parents for raising me in a religion. I was even mad at God for not existing. As funny as that sounds now, it was not funny while it was happening. I took my anger out on my mother, the only one that would listen. I was mean to random theists, both on the internet and in real life. I was an asshole. The third stage of denial is bargaining. This one really didn't seem to be part of my deconversion process. If there's any atheist out there that went through a bargaining stage, please leave a comment down below. I would love to hear about it. The fourth stage of grief is depression. I have to admit that I went through a couple bouts of depression, but thankfully, they each were very short, about a day or 2 at most. The process repeated itself a few times. I would go from denial to anger, to depression, back to anger, back to depression, until one day it just became too much. I then cried. I mean, really cried, for like a week straight. I cried for all the babies that died and didn't make it to heaven. I cried for all the people that have ever suffered or are suffering now. I cried for my children that had to live in a world without a God. I cried for myself that I was going to die and not exist anymore. This, for me personally, was the worst part of the whole process. The complete feeling of helplessness and fear of mortality. It was horribly overwhelming, and the only way my brain could cope was to just let it all out. Then finally, after 3 or 4 months, I moved on to the final stage of the grieving process, acceptance. Everything seemed brighter, every breath better than the last, every day a gift, every conversation something worthy of actually listening to. Every animal became a fellow traveler on this rock we call Earth. Every meal became something worth savoring. I realized that people are the most important thing to me. The most important of all the people on this planet is my family, and the most important of all my family is my boys and my mother. As Penn Jillette from Penn and Teller said, every day is an atheist holiday. Today's shout out is for Discern 4. In my grieving process, I reached out to a random atheist for support. This random atheist happened to be Discern 4. He spent time and energy on me. He wrote long emails to me, trying his best to comfort me. He is such a good man. He is a personal hero to me. He didn't know me, yet he showed me compassion and kindness. To both my atheist and theist friends, please check out his videos. They are quite enjoyable, and he spends a lot of time on them, especially the animated ones. And as always, don't think like me, just think.